Welcome back to Small Caps. It's Kerry Stevenson here, and today I am bringing you Resolution Minerals. Resolution Minerals ASX code is RML. Got some great projects in gold, in copper, two of my favourite commodities and favourite sector. Joining me today is the Managing Director, Duncan Chessell. Duncan, it's Zoom. It's a shame we're not seeing you in person, but that's life in COVID times. Before we get started, I have not spoken to you before here on Small Caps, so for our investor audience, could you give them a brief overview on who Resolution Minerals are and where you're operating?
Yeah, sure, Kerry. And thanks for having me on today at Small Caps and for a first interview with you. So, yeah, see how it goes. And yeah, look, Resolution Minerals has got a number of projects all in top 10 ranked mining jurisdictions. Our two major projects are the 64North Precious Metals Project or Gold Project in Alaska, way up the other side of the planet. And down in the Northern Territory, a little bit closer to home, the Wollogorang Copper Project, so a base metal project in the Northern Territory. So again, a top 10 ranked mining jurisdiction. And Resolution is a junior explorer. We've got some fantastic prospects in precious metals and in copper. And we're just out there. We believe that the best shareholder value that we can deliver is that discovery success. And we're out there having a crack, hunting for big targets in big country, up in Alaska for the gold and back home in Australia for copper. We haven't talked too much about the copper project for a while, but we'll probably like to have a bit of a chat about that because we've been very focused on the Alaskan project for the last nearly 2 years up in Alaska on the 64North project. We've got assays imminent on our East Pogo prospect. Our project completely surrounds Northern Star's 11 million ounce high grade world-class operating gold mine. So we've got all the ground around it. We've conducted some drilling on the western side and the eastern side. We've got assays pending along strike on the Pogo trend. We've got super high grade gold mine right there, and behind us Tectonic Metals with their high grade discovery just behind us on the hill there. We announced to the market that we intersected significant quartz veining in 5 out of the 12 holes that we just drilled, and assays are going to drop any day now. So super excited about that. But at the same time, we've also been moving forward with our copper project in Australia, the Wollogorang project.
We'll go into the Wollogorang project in more detail, but with the Alaskan project, you've been working on it for a couple of years now. Is COVID giving you any challenges, or are those assay results coming out? You've got a good team up there. What's going on with that?
Yeah, look, we've been fortunate as in that we took over as an operator at the start of the year. We had an American geologist who was working and living in Perth, and she's moved back to Fairbanks, Alaska permanently as our exploration manager for that project, or VP Alaska Exploration. And then we've also been fortunate enough to have one of our staff able to travel over through COVID and spend a fair bit of summer over there, assisting with some of the drill programs and regional work. But COVID was pretty tough last year. The Americans seem to have cracked the code. They've vaccinated everyone. So we're not seeing any operational issues in Alaska this year, which is good.
You say assays coming up, pending. Are we talking a few weeks? Because some of these labs are a little bit behind with what's going on. What's the time frame on that? Because it's all about what those results are going to show for investors.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're watching the screen, and we're talking to the lab manager, and we're expecting they're processing it right now. It's about to drop. So we would hope that we would get it in the next few days, or could it be Monday? Not sure.
Okay.
So, but soon. Obviously, they need to give us the QAQC on that, and we verify things a bit. But I'm hoping next week we should we should be able to, I say should be able to deliver some results to the market. And we're actually just hanging on the edge of our seats to see what this is, because we've been working this prospect up on the East Pogo. We conducted geophysical surveys, ZTEM and CSAM, or ZTEM surveys over Northern Star, one of their deposits, or their good past to discovery. We did the same work over our zone and identified the same conductive unit. It's all lining up, and then the quartz veins has been that other sort of weather vein, if you like. So we're positive, but assays are the true test. So a word of caution. We've hit quartz veins before, and they unfortunately haven't had gold in them. Yeah. Gold is a tough element, and it's tricky. But we're seeing, but this is what we do. A market cap of a bit over 10 million. We're sitting next to an 11 million ounce, major player of Northern Star there, potentially, on the verge of a discovery. And this is what we do for our investors. Is I think that's what people are in it for. They're not in it for they're wanting us to make that discovery success and really, hit the ball out of the park. So that's what we've been trying to do this year. That's the attitude we take, is we want to be able to chase, drill, test high, large scale potential prospects. We're not about going back and twinning small little postage stamp, veins. We're wanting to go and have a crack at something of scale. And if we can do that, test it, if it's there, fantastic return for everyone. If not, well, we've got other prospects in our pipeline that we're going to go and drill test as well. So
yeah, and that's what I was about to ask you, Duncan. When these assay results come back, for the investors that are already shareholders in your company and those that are looking to come in, what are the next steps on Alaska? Because I want to leave some time to go into what's happening here in Australia. So just give us a brief overview.
Well, we're actually we did some drilling earlier in the year on the Sunrise prospect on the other side of the Pogo Gold Mine, very close to the Pogo Gold Mine's gate, actually. And we got a Fort Knox-style mineral system defined there, 280 metre wide corridor, mineralised corridor. Some of the holes mineralised all the way from top to bottom. Fort Knox is a lower grade style system, but what our team's gone out and done now, and is just completing now, is they've gone out and worked out where else is there that we want to drill test or trench, maybe a little bit of geophysics, but there's certainly, we'll be discussing those plans to the market in the coming probably week or so about our operations plan to further test some of our best prospects on the 64North project, immediately adjacent to the Pogo Gold Mine. And then we've also got a rig ready to go to follow up on East Pogo. If we get these, if these results are positive, we're lining up our logistics to have a rig to come in and just drop that on there and follow it up in the summer season. So, we're ready. We've got to be dynamic in this situation, and just be ready to pivot and see which way we want to go.
Any challenge, just last question, any challenges with Alaska at the moment? I think they're good with COVID. Any challenges where you are in terms of bringing in people and rigs and all that sort of stuff, and also weather?
Look, we're seeing a very strong demand for drilling rigs. So, one of the toughest parts is securing those rigs at the moment. And you generally have to do that a long way out, or have lined up where with another company, their program's finishing in about 3 weeks from now, and you can pick up their contract at the end of that. So we've got, having that person on the ground there is vital to have the finger on the pulse, right, and be, able to just shuffle the logistics around. So that's been a big help. The other question, I forgot what it was.
With the weather, is it weather dependent? Are you? So the season in Alaska is generally May through to the end of September. That's the best time to do your work. You can push the shoulder seasons. Our work on the western side, the Sunrise prospect and up at Tourmaline Ridge, etc. There, that's got the Pogo Gold Mine road, so it's 24/7 all year access to that prospect. Wow!
So that's a huge advantage in Alaska. Over on the western side, eastern side we've just drilled. We've probably only got a couple of months worth of operations left. Hence, we line up, for a rig to be able to come in, assay results, right, and we can make that decision, bring a rig in and hit it for the rest of the season. So some aspects of the project and Alaskan exploration is pretty seasonal, as you can imagine.
Yeah. All right. In the interest of time, I want to get on to your Wollogorang project, which is in the Northern Territory, which is copper, and which I'm not sure the market understands exactly what you might have your hands on up there and what you've been doing, because you've been working quite quietly away up there, doing some VTEM surveys, and it's just give us an idea of what it is, where it is, and what you're doing up there, because these are subsurface potentially deposits, and you've got some drilling going on or planned for late August. It would be just interesting to figure out where is it, what's it look like, and you may have a map that you can show us.
Yeah, look, I could pull something up. Why don't I just pull up a map of where that is, and just give us a sec. That's probably a bit of a snapshot of.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully you can see we're up near the Gulf of Carpentaria on the Queensland Northern Territory border.
Yep.
But on the Northern Territory side, and we're really interesting. Ours is the blue area there. We initially did some work in that area looking for cobalt a couple of years ago, chasing the breccia pipes, the thin breccia pipes, which just didn't actually turn out, and the cobalt price went the wrong way. At the time, though, we hit up to 4% copper in shallow near surface drilling with RAB holes and so on, and we sort of went, well, the copper price wasn't very good. So we sort of parked the project and went. When
was that, Duncan? What year was that?
2017 and 18 was where we did that work. And so we haven't done a lot of it. We haven't really done much work on it in 1920, but we knew that the area was potential for base metals. And I think really interestingly, in 2020, Geoscience Australia came out and identified this base metal corridor, which actually exists worldwide. It's this lab line, or lithosphere, asthenosphere, technical thing. But anyway, the line on the map, that goes all around Australia and all around the world. And anywhere on that line, you're talking about that sort of that brownish reddy line. That one there, right? Goes right. Our thing's slap bang on it. That line, 85% of the world's giant sediment-hosted base metal copper deposits sit on that line. So, so that's a good place to have a bit of ground, in my view. And certainly the MacArthur Basin, obviously the MacArthur River, huge, one of the largest lead zinc, deposits in the world there, owned by Teck. We've got, BHP, Rio, Newcrest, et cetera, all doing a lot of work in this basin, because it's there's Red Bank Copper immediately to the south of us with a modest copper deposit there. So we know there's copper in the system. We know there's base metals. And we thought, look, we want to chase the larger scale systems. As I said, earlier, we're not, about going back and following up small little ones. Out in these areas here, you need to hit a large deposit. So that's what we did. We flew that VTEM survey, and I'll just turn this off if you like.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's 100% owned by Resolution, isn't it? And absolutely. So you're getting out there, and what have you done so far?
So we conducted a 2,000 metre line, 2,000 line kilometre VTEM survey. And what that can do is, if it picks up conductors, that could potentially be either directly a massive sulfide or copper sulfide, or it could be the conductive rock unit that is very conducive as a trap site or a host rock for copper mineralisation. So if you've got a structure coming through it, you've got copper in the system and brines, you've got all the right ingredients, and you hit these conductors, you've either got the right host rock, which is pretty good chance you've got some copper in it, or you've actually directly detected copper. So, we identified 40 of the conductors. Of the highest priority ones, there's probably in the order of 30. None of them have been drill tested at all. There was three of them were three of the lower order ones had some holes in there where people doing exploration or something else. So you've got dozens of conductors in the right rocks, on the lab line, in an area with copper mineralisation kicking around in the system, and these conductors are, some of them are just absolutely, crackers. So, there's certainly a first pass of exploration we can do on that to go and hit some of the low-hanging fruit there, relatively easy access, and then there's some sort of other prospects where we're just doing a little bit of work on the logistics around tracks and we're just having to amend some of our drilling approvals to get to some of those other prospects, because obviously we've only just got the information, processed it, and we've just got the final results as well, and we're processing up and delineating the exact orientation of those targets. But a lot of them are looking like they're pretty flat lying, matching the sediments. It's all lining up. So, you know, it's a fantastic result out of that VTEM survey, and you just can't, like, I'm pretty excited about what's happening up at East Pogo. There, actually, a couple of years worth of work to get to those assay results, but you know, this is you've had this project for a while. Takes time to kind of really get into a project and really understand the real prospectivity to it sometimes. And this one is really starting to come up trumps. And, you know, so I'm pretty excited with the future for Resolution, because we've got two horses that are kind of vying for being the flagship now. And that's great.
And you had one flagship that you used to talk about, which was the 64North. And now you're saying, well, you know what, we could be onto something here. Having done the VTEM survey, what's the next step? Because that's given you an idea of that there could be something there. But as I always say to people, mining and exploration is not a short-term game, guys. This takes a while to figure out what it is you've got. So it'd be interesting for our investors to go, all right, Resolution Minerals, you've been focused up there in Alaska. You've come back here to the Northern Territory and you think you might have something there with copper. What are the next steps? What's the logical next steps for this?
Yeah, so I think the logical next steps for the Wollogorang copper project is to get out there and to hit a few of those targets with some RC holes this year. Right. And just we've got drilling approvals on some existing prospects we had, like from before, but some of these new targets don't have any drilling approval. So we're putting in those amendments. They'll just take a few, you know, probably about a month to come through. Okay. And then we just got to line up a rig to come in on the back of that. And so we've got plenty of time this year to sort of get out there and do it. We can probably we're just balancing up whether we actually want to go have a crack at it in 2 hits, do a first pass drilling program, or we want to do some of the other targets which are going to require a few more roads to get to. But certainly we've got some of our first order priority targets which we can get to pretty easily and test as a first pass. So just weighing that up now and just having a chat to the department about how long approvals are going to take. But
hopefully not too
no, it shouldn't be too long. Yeah.
How big is the area that you're looking at? What's the size of this? And are you focusing just on one small area, or is it wide open spacing?
Yeah, well, look, I'll flick to another little screen grab here because I've got this thing here might be quite useful. So you can sort of see this is where the previous drilling has taken place, looking for the cobalt breccia pipes there. And then these are our conductor picks, and you can see they're not in the same place at all, which is fantastic. And the scale of this through here, this is about 25 k's across through here, and about 30 foot. This project's a huge project area, and we focused on the eastern half of it with our VTEM survey through there because that's where the shallowest, or where the host formations are the shallowest. So we're talking depths of, sort of 40 to 120, 150 meters in general. So that's why we did the VTEM survey there. We'd go through, drill test these. We can get access to all the eastern side here. These ones down to the south will require a little bit more effort to get to. But then if we get onto something here, we've also got the other half of the project. Target's probably slightly deeper. There's a little bit thicker formation or more sandstone units over top of it. But certainly the whole area is pretty prospective because it's all sitting on that lab line as well.
It's still relatively early days for Wollogorang, but you're pretty excited and you've been around in this industry for a while. What is it that's getting Duncan Chessell a little bit hot under the collar at the moment?
Oh, look, I guess you just, when you see a lot of the vectors to warranting a drill program to coming together, you're seeing the right the Reich Rock units is the target units with those Shaler units, the conductive units. You know they're sitting there. You're starting to see your VTEM conductors are lighting those up in discrete places. It's telling you that there's something different going on right there. So you're not having to search through the whole 4,000 square Ks. It's focusing you in and giving you some direct drill targets. And that's fantastic. There's a bit of cover over it, so you don't get a huge geochem response there. But that's what we're expecting. And you've got copper mineralization. We've got a drill hole in here, it's like 4% copper. So we know there's copper floating around in this system. There's a copper deposit down here. There's a bunch of copper prospects down here on Red Bank's ground. It's a lot of things lining up. But again, of course, it's greenfields, early stage exploration. But again, market cap circa 10 mil. Got funding to go out and do some drilling. Let's see what happens at the drill bit.
All right. Well, we're running out of time, so I want you to tell me, it's how I end them all. 3 reasons why RML investors, shareholders should start getting excited, and those that aren't need to take a good look.
Well, I guess, lots of drilling to go. Assay results pending on a potential Pogo style, gold discovery in Alaska, right next to a huge gold mine. Second, amazing drill targets in Australia on copper. Drill programs to come for the rest of the year. News flow to Christmas, and a market cap of 10 mil. I know that was 3 or 4, but there you go.
That's good enough for me. Duncan Chessell, really appreciate you coming on to Small Caps and joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this space, ASX code RML. They are busy. Gold in Alaska, copper in Australia, lots of news flow to come. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Duncan.
Okay. Thanks, Kerry.